It's hazardous and can actually harm you. Today I'm going to share with you some ways that sawdust can be harmful for you, and then I'm going to give you some pro tips and tricks so you're ready when it comes time to buy your first dust collector. Remember, you can always buy new tools, but you can't buy new lungs. Hi there, friends. Cale here from Dansby Designs. We all love making sawdust. It's the sign of a productive day in the shop. But sawdust isn't just a messy byproduct. It can be harmful if you don't manage it properly. Today I'd like to share 3 ways sawdust can harm your health. After that, I'll give you some tips for choosing the right dust collector. That way, you can keep woodworking for years to come. Okay, let's talk about 3 ways sawdust can harm you. First, it can cause respiratory problems. Fine dust hangs in the air long after you've finished cutting, and the most dangerous particles aren't even visible. You breathe it in, and those tiny particles get lodged deep in your lungs. This can lead to chronic coughing, asthma-like symptoms, or worse, permanent lung damage. Let's talk tech for a sec, and let me show you some data about microns. This will be helpful for you later in the video when we talk about product selection. Remember, the smaller the micron number, the smaller the particle size. I'm going to show you examples of some micron ranges by particle size, their visibility, along with an everyday comparison and their associated health effect. First up, let's start at 100 microns. These are super easy to see. They're about the size of a grain of salt. They are usually harmless, but they can get trapped in the nose or throat and can cause irritation. Zooming into 40 microns, these particles are barely visible, about the size of fine beach sand, and they can irritate the eyes and throat. At 10 microns, they become invisible alone but can be seen if concentrated. These are about the size of pollen, and at this size, they can reach the upper respiratory tract. Down to 2.5 microns, these are completely invisible and are about the size of city smog particles. These particles can penetrate deep into the lungs, increasing heart and lung strain. And finally, let's zoom down to 0.3 microns. These are completely invisible and are about 1/250th the width of a human hair. These particles can pass deep into your lungs, are the hardest to filter out, and are the most dangerous wood dust size. If you can see the dust, it's just annoying. But if you can't see the dust, it's dangerous and hazardous. Hey, if you're finding this video helpful, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. Okay, second, it can cause skin and eye irritation. Certain woods like cedar and walnut release compounds that irritate the skin and the eyes. Over time, even if you don't react right away, repeated exposure can create serious sensitivities and even allergies. Trust me on that one, friends. I'm allergic to just about every domestic hardwood you could name. And third, it can bring long-term health risks. Hardwood dust has been classified as cancer-causing in many countries. That means long-term exposure can increase your risk of certain cancers. It's not just dust, friends, it's a health hazard. Before we go into some tips about buying a dust collector, let me foot stomp the idea of the multi-stage dust collector. This is a must. Here's an example of my Harvey Woodworking multi-stage dust collection and what the wood chips and the dust look like at the various stages of collection. This is stage 1, and these represent wood chips. Here's stage 2. Now we're mixing chips and dust. And here is stage 3, pure dust. Okay, now you know a bit about micron sizes and their health impacts. Now let me share some tips for buying a dust collector. Before you consider buying a dust collector, you need to consider where your shop is now and where you think it will be in 2 years. Before we talk about what you should buy, let's start with what you absolutely should not buy. Do not buy a dust collector from Horrible Freight. You know the store I'm talking about. Do not buy a shop vac to use as a dust collector. Do not buy a used dust collector from a marketplace like Facebook. If you're serious about your health, and you should be, Here's what you should consider when buying a dust collector. First, airflow matters and is referred to in terms of CFM, that's cubic feet per minute. CFM represents how much your dust collector can inhale and exhale. The deeper it can inhale and exhale, the more air and dust it can process per minute. If you don't maintain the filters in your dust collector, you are effectively limiting how much your dust collector can exhale, which also directly impacts how much it can inhale. Imagine you could only breathe through your nose for a moment, and what that might feel like if you had a bad cold and a stuffed up nose. That's what your dust collector feels like. Second, pipe diameter and the number of tools serviced impacts CFM and is critical. For a single tool in your shop, aim for at least 400 to 600 CFM with a 4-inch diameter pipe. If you want to connect multiple machines, you'll need more pipe diameter and more CFM, but that's a separate video entirely. More airflow through a larger duct means more dust captured before it reaches you. Third, filtration quality is king, and I'm talking about micron rating. Remember the chart from earlier? Here's where it really matters. Don't settle for a bag that only traps chips. That ultra-fine invisible dust at 0.3 microns is the real danger. Look for filters rated at 1 micron or less. A HEPA filter is an even better option because it traps those particles most harmful to your lungs. It traps those 0.3 micron particles. Look for units that are HEPA certified. I use a Harvey Woodworking G700, and their marketing was a bit tricky on this topic. They get close to HEPA level filtration, but are not actually HEPA certified, and that should matter to us. More on that point in just a minute. Fourth, consider shop size and growth. Match your dust collector to your space and your future plans. A portable unit or a shop vac with a cyclone chip separator may work in a small garage. But if you're planning to add more machines, investing now in a larger system will protect your health and your wallet. You're going to spend $2,000 to $3,000 if you purchase 4 dust collectors over time, upgrading each along the way. I'm recommending that you spend it all now on one high-quality unit. Here are some additional thoughts based on my experience, purchases, and my tools. You're going to end up with more than one HEPA-based dust collector. This isn't just gas, it's practical and safe woodworking. No, not that kind of gas. I'm talking about gear acquisition syndrome, which is what a lot of YouTube woodworking channels promote. You know those channels. Buy this because I'm an affiliate and I get a commission. Even with a high-quality unit from Oneida, Laguna, or Harvey Woodworking, you'll still want something for your sanders and other smaller tools. There's dust collection for 4-inch dust ports, and then there's dust collection for 1.5-inch dust ports. Sanding above 220 grit can really pump out those invisible particles. When it comes to the smaller dust port sizes, and at least for now, nothing can compare with the extraction and filtration capabilities of the Festool CT Series dust collectors. No, I'm not sponsored. I'm simply giving it to you straight, based on my own research, my own purchases, and my own experiences. Learn to spot the difference between HEPA filter and HEPA certified. HEPA filter means the unit utilizes a HEPA filter. HEPA certified means the entire unit is certified to capture and store 0.3 micron particles. My Harvey Woodworking G700 is a great example of this. Its HEPA filters send out clean air, but the rest of the unit leaks sawdust from every crack and door seal. On the other hand, my Festool CT Series dust collectors capture those 0.3 micron particles, and the overall unit shows almost no signs of leaking sawdust from cracks and seals. You'll likely need to install a 220 volt outlet or have one installed for any of these buy once, cry once level dust collectors. Do not, I repeat, do not buy a high-end dust collector that runs on 110 volt power. You will regret it. You will also end up with an overhead fan filter unit, and this is another one of those buy once, cry once opportunities. Overhead or ceiling mount fans with filters offering true HEPA level filtration are not cheap, and they can be hard to find. If it's on Amazon, please skip it. Buy cheap hammers and drill bits from Amazon, not your dust collector or your overhead fan. Grizzly's T33151 hanging HEPA filter traps 0.3 micron particles and will cost you around $750. This is a solid option. If you're swinging for the fences with your overhead fan, a Blue Ox 1100 HE will run you around $2,000 to $3,000. Do your research or drop a comment with your questions and consider me a resource as you look to purchase your dust collector. Remember, sawdust isn't just a nuisance. It can harm your lungs, your skin, and your long-term health. A quality dust collector with strong airflow, fine filtration, and room to grow is one of the smartest investments you can make. It's not just about keeping the shop clean, it's about keeping your lungs clean too. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share this video with a fellow woodworker. If you have advice for the community, please drop a comment and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear your dust collector horror stories. Till next time, friends, peace, love, and sawdust. I'm out.